All right. let's sound the shofar, right? So we don't forget. Oh, Montevello, get ready. The king is in the field. All right, we're talking now that about this week's Torah portion, Shoftim v'Shotrim. Shoftim v'Shotrim. There has to be judges and policemen. And interestingly enough, in the prophecy of Isaiah, it doesn't talk about policemen. It says over there, and also in our prayers, we don't ask for policemen. By the prophecy of Isaiah, it says that God will return our judges like in the beginning, and our advisors like the onset. And the Rebbe said beginning means something, this beginning of a way back. Right? At the beginning, that doesn't have to come anything afterwards. Right? This is the beginning. Maybe onset means that something comes afterwards. It's closer to us. That's the Rebbe says, that's in general the idea of the judges and the advisors. Judges are people that all they're interested in is what God wants. That's judges. You go to a judge, you surrender yourself to a judge. What you think is not important at all. You go to the judge, you present your case, the judge says, this is the law, you accept it, that's all. You don't want to accept it, then you've got a policeman, a shoter, and he enforces it. And that's the way it was most of the time in the Jewish people, right? The judges said things and the Jewish people didn't want. They didn't accept. But in the future, we're asking God, and we're praying 3 times a day, and we ask God, Oshiva Shoftim Rishona, V'yoatzenu Chavar Chila. We want to have the judges like in the beginning, and the advisors like in the onset. It says a judge, he's the beginning. Karishona. He's the beginning. That's the beginning. You don't have to have a number 2. The judge could say something, and you could say, I'm not going to do it. Right? You're guilty, you have to pay. I'm not going to find me. I'm not going to pay. Right? That's the judge just begins it. That doesn't mean anything has to happen afterwards. An advisor, though, is a person that he's onset. He begins the actual action. He's close to you. He cares about you, what you think. He wants it to be accepted by you. That's an advisor. Right? You go to the judge says to do this, and you say, I'm not going to do it. You go to the advisor and say, listen, I just was by the judge, and he told me I have to pay. And I don't want to pay. What should I do? What should I do? So the advisor advises him, let's look into this. Let's see. Maybe the judge was right. Maybe you can pay in payments. Maybe it's worth your while to suffer and make this payment and not hold on to money that's not really yours. There won't be any blessing in the money. And he explains it to him, little by little. Maybe there's a way we can send a messenger to it. Maybe the judge has to explain himself a little bit better. Maybe you weren't in a good mood. Let's think about this clearly. I mean, listen, the fact is where does money come? Money comes from God. If you do what God wants, you give this money back, then God will help you. He'll give you more money, right? And maybe you don't need so much money. Instead of buying a Lamborghini, so you'll buy a Chevrolet. It's not so bad, right? And your friends, they want to, maybe you don't need those friends. Maybe the advisor, he talks to a person to his level. That's why it says, the advisors, it says, it says the judge, he's just like Barishona. He's like at the head. He's like the beginning. It doesn't have to be that there's anything comes after, which is not the case. The advisors, yeah. which is not the case. The advisor, an advisor is a person, Shabo Nimsa Gasha Beikar, the main thing is the person who's receiving from him, the person who's taking the advice. Right? The judge doesn't care so much about the litigants, right? He doesn't get personally involved in the whole thing, a judge. In fact, he's not supposed to get personally involved. A judge is a person that he's supposed to say what the law is. That's what the law is. Maybe he can take mitigating circumstances and things like this. Okay. But the main thing of the judge is he says what the law is, which is not the case. The advisor, his main thing is the litigant, to explain. He's giving him advice and he wants it to be accepted. The fact that he's giving advice, this indicates the fact that there already is a beginning. Means that the person is coming to him for advice, means that the thing has already begun. He's been to the judge has begun. Now he wants to, the onset. He wants to actually do. Legalot, the tovato. He wants to explain to the person how this is to his benefit. Not just what God wants, but that God wants what's best for you. That's the idea of the advisor. But God also should take it. And also, as far as time goes, as soon as the advisor gives his advice, then automatically you accept what I'm saying. Yes, okay, you convince me, he'll do it, which is not the case. The judge can say something and he'll say, I'm not going to do it. I'll think about it. But the whole idea of the advisor is to motivate the person to actually do. Okay, and therefore it says, therefore it says, your advisors, like in the onset, that the advisors that's going to be in the days of the Mashiach, they will be, what does it mean? Ketechila. They will be like starting things off. They'll do things. The idea of what's talking about the advisors in the day of the Mashiach will be to convince everyone not just what God wants, but what you really want. You yourself want to do what God wants, but they'll explain it in a way that's going to be relevant to you. Right? Wow, I'm glad you sat and explained. I mean, that judge, he doesn't explain anything, that judge. He's just a cold fish, that guy. Right? That says, listen, the judge is doing his job. He's talking about what God wants. He gave you what God wants. That's his job. His job is not to convince you and to be a nice guy and to be friendly and to be the user friendly and to be, right? He's not a politician that's going out and explaining to everybody. And no, the judge, his job is to pure tell you what God wants. Now it's up to you to find someone to explain it. That's the advisor. That's why it says yoatzayich, your advisor. Your advisors means that the advisor makes you feel that it's for you. That's the idea of the Mashiach. The Mashiach will make everyone feel not just that I'm doing the orders of the king, and if I don't, I'm going to get zapped, and that there's not going to be any more me anymore. I have to do it, right? It's not going to be the Stalin or something, God forbid. It's going to be someone that's going to reveal what everybody wants for themselves, the best for yourself. The problem is people don't want what's good for themselves, right? Addictions, right? Addiction is not good for anybody, but there's so many billions and billions of people that are addicted, taking drugs. It just destroys people. The world would get along so well if there was no more addictions. That's just drug addictions. All the other addictions, right? Aggression, war. The world could get along very fine without any war, right? You have to have a big army. Why? In order to defend yourself against this other guy. And the other guy says, my army is just to defend myself against him. Who's going to start? Right? Who's going to de-escalate? Who's going to be the first one? Right? The fool. The guy who de-escalates means he puts himself right on the lower level. Does that work? It'll only work if everyone has the same goal. If everyone has the same goal to serve the Creator, then, and everyone realizes it's their personal goal. That's what it means. The yoatz, The Yoatzim, the advisors, says in the future, there's not going to be policemen, there'll be advisors. They'll be your advisors. It means that by means of these advisors that's going to be in the future, says even the judges, they won't be just judges, they'll be your judges. That the judges themselves, you'll accept what they say. You say, oh, this judge, he's saying what God wants. Wow, that's good. I accept what you say, Your Honor, but I would like to explain it better. The judge is very good, but I have a lot of cases today. For that, we have advisors, thousands of expert advisors. And most of them are people just like you, right? That yesterday they were litigants, they didn't understand, and now you can advise people that they want to, no force at all, that everyone will accept in an inner way the decisions of the judge. We can attach this, what it says, that's what it means, put it in all of your gates. Now you have to realize what the Rebbe says, that basically we are now, right now, we are in the beginning of the days of the Mashiach. The Rebbe is the Mashiach, and the whole process has already begun, right? There's a lot of bad things happening, yes, but a lot of Jews are genuinely coming back to Judaism, doing the commandments, learning Torah. A lot of Jews. We're not talking about that they all become, Chabad or Breslev or Lita'im. They don't necessarily are relevant to some group. Could be yes, which is very nice. Could be yes. Breslev is in Israel, for instance, thousands of people. Right? Chabad also. People, but also just people they put on. I was just amazed. Yesterday, I went to get a test for my car to see if the car passed the test, which is a very big miracle. That's why I watched this video of Rabbi Mengel, his story about being in the Holocaust. That's why, because you had to wait. But anyway, somehow or other, they said, "Oh, Rabbi, what are you standing out in the heat for? Here, sit in this room, there's air conditioning." So I thought, okay, I'll sit in the room, what do I care? I went in the room, there was a pair of tefillin. The Chabad house had left, the Chabad house, which is in that area, it was in Netanya. They left a pair of tefillin there. So I took the tefillin and I went out and I started asking people if they want to put on tefillin. And yeah, immediately somebody said yes, but I was just truly amazed how many Jews there were. They didn't have kippahs on their heads, they didn't have tzitzis, and they looked at me with a big smile on their face. Oh, I put on every morning. Tefillin? I don't leave the house without putting on tefillin. Right? There were a couple of people, Russians, a couple of them said, no, I'm not relevant to that. I don't want it. But let's see, you give them a blessing also. It doesn't make, but the fact of the matter is, and even those people that said they don't want to, they said it with like a little smile. It wasn't like, get out of here until drop dead. It used to be that way. It used to be that way. You used to do mitzvah. People used to say, go jump in the lake and you're a missionary and, go to hell and things. Now it doesn't happen anymore. More and more people are accepting the idea, putting on tefillin is a really nice thing. What do I get out of it? I don't know, but it's a good thing. I'm a Jew. Jew put on tefillin for no reason. But that's a Jew. It says, this is the whole idea of shoftim. So we're now in the days of the Mashiach. The redemption is not yet here. The redemption is not yet here, right? The government in Israel is the worst in the world. That the situation in America is just total bedlam, just total insanity. Okay, that's a step to the redemption. Okay, we've had enough steps and signs. Good, the redemption, but the Mashiach for sure is here, and for sure we're in the days of the Mashiach. And in 1 minute, the whole thing is going to change, right? It's going to change. It's going to be revealed. So that's the idea of that. There's going to be that we say that these judges and advisors you have to put on your gates. The gate of the city is the entrance to the city. This is where everyone comes into the city. The intention is that making a judge, whenever you need a judge, should be in a way that you put, titein lecha, you make it yourself, because she'orecha, on all of your personal, right, second person, you, God is speaking directly to us, all of your gates. This is, what does it mean that the decisions of the judge, which on their own are a way of, we said the judges are like separated from the people, they should be accepted to you in a way of a commandment and what's called Kabbalat Ol. But now we're saying Kabbalat Ol, right? The king says you do something, you do it, right? God says keep Shabbos, you keep Shabbos. God says you don't eat the lobster, you don't eat it. That's it. Don't understand it. Says that's the judge. But now it'll be accepted by the Jewish people. L'cha b'chol sharecha. It'll be into you, in all of your gates, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. It'll be accepted b'pnimius, inside. It'll go into your gates. Ba'ofen shenaseh tchila shar v'sharecha. This is the Tanya the Rebbe explains in the 10th chapter of the Tanya. That's the level of a tzaddik. And that's how the Tanya starts off, that every Jew is sworn in to be a tzaddik, right? If you don't make it and you find it impossible to become a tzaddik, which that's the way God sometimes rigs the whole situation. So that's the Tanya, is the book of the Beinoni, what to do in the meantime, right? How you're supposed to serve God, even though you're in this sort of crippled state that you're not a tzaddik. But ideally, every Jew will be a tzaddik, amech kulam tzaddikim. And a tzaddik is a person that he really feels what's right. He really feels, as soon as the rabbis say this is wrong, then he feels this is wrong. You know, like you're in the army, and it says, okay, anybody who has this uniform, he's our friend. Anyone has this uniform, he's our enemy. Now don't get this thing mixed up, because it's a really good thing to kill the enemy and a really bad thing to kill our side. And the whole difference is just a uniform. The person says, no, I'm an American. I'm proud of my country. You know, I'm proud of my country. I'm not going to kill. He's got, this uniform. Oh, I love him. He's got this uniform. I hate him. Good. Why? Because you're really faithful to your country. You feel the country. And now you've just been given the sign. The same thing, that you really love God. So God says, this type of a fish is forbidden. That's the uniform, forbidden, bad. This is from the bad side. This type of fish is okay. But to eat it in this way, this is also forbidden. To eat it with your hands, that's also, I won't do that. It'll be inside of you. You'll feel your loyalty will be to the Creator. And therefore, even these commands, which were by the judges, will be accepted in an inside way. And even in a deeper way, it says that in serving God, these gates refers to the gates of a person, the limbs of a person, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, the ears. These are the gates through which a person connects to the world. B'chol sharecha, and all of your gates, means that you have to put a judge. You have to put it. That all of your limbs, all of your powers, all of your senses should be conducted only according to your judge, the judge that you put, the judge that's in your soul, the Shulchan Aruch especially. Before you do anything, before you say anything, before you think anything, you think, is this what God wants? Is this what says in the Shulchan Aruch to do? Hamochin denafsho, that a person's intelligence and his godly soul, that's the judge. That's your judge. That with this intellect of the godly soul, you learn Torah. I know Torah, that you learn Torah, and the way you judge yourself from what you learn will be in a way of titen lecha. It'll be a thing that you'll do with happiness, with pleasure. Titen, you will give. It says anyone who gives with a generous eye. And you have to put it in all of your gates. You'll be happy to control yourself. You'll be happy to force yourself to do good and to force yourself to refrain from bad. You won't have to force yourself. It'll be a thing that you do. You ever see these people who run, the runners in the morning, right? They take jogging. You ever see it jogging? I mean, they look like they're just suffering. They look like they're on a torture table or something. They're grimacing and they're this and that, but they enjoy it. They enjoy it. It's health. They love it. If they can only go another mile, another 2 miles. And so sometimes there's things which seem to be very difficult, but you enjoy it because you feel this is health. This is a same thing doing the will of God. Everybody's going to enjoy it. But call evorim, that all of your limbs, even if they're things that are hard to do, and all of your limbs, 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 all of in your gates. A gate is also the beginning of everything. The gate, that's where you come in. That everything you start to do will be according to the Torah, and how you do it, this will be according to the yoatzecha, to your advisors. In other words, it'll be in a way, everything that you do in the Torah will be in a pleasant way, in a way that's really you doing it. It's you doing it. You can really appreciate other people. You don't get angry. You don't get uptight. You don't get depressed. You don't get the what is it? The lustful money. Oh, you see money, you go berserk, right? Means that you'll know what to do and you'll do it in a pleasant way. I hope he's according to this. That's the idea of the Mashiach. According to this, now we can understand why after the coming of the Mashiach, you won't need policemen anymore. Even since as then, the judges and the advisors will be complete. Whether the justice that they're doing and the teachings of the Torah come from the judge, together with the high power that the judge gives, directly from the highest source to you, or whether what you do comes from the advisors. What does it mean, the advisors? That comes from the inside of the person. But namely, there'll be these two things that, whether it's by the judge, that he commands you from above, nevertheless, both of them, or it's the advisor, it'll be totally, a Jew will be totally permeated by the desire just to do what God wants. The Torah of the mitzvahs ve'elokus. You don't need any more policemen in order to do what God wants. This basically is in everything, right? You learn to play piano, and in the beginning, it's very, very difficult. You have to really control yourself. You have to get a teacher, and he teaches, no, not that way, not this way. And you have to control your fingers, and you want to give up a million times. And then finally, you start to really enjoy it. And you really enjoy the, right? The same thing with anything, with sports. In the beginning, it's very difficult, and you don't know how to shoot the ball into the hoop. You don't know which side is the right side of it. Then you get into it, and you really enjoy it. You start to enjoy it. Right? Good. There's some people that they don't enjoy playing piano at all, and other people, they don't enjoy playing basketball at all. Good. But every Jew enjoys serving the creator of the universe. So in the beginning, it's a little bit difficult. You have to have these policemen. But afterwards, all you have to do is have advisors how to do it the best way, to feel the life inside of it. By means of your your judges. Why do you have to have your judges and your advisors? We said that judges are enough. If you only have judges, even though they're your judges, and you accept it in an inner way, the teachings of the Torah that a Jew accepts with a Kabbalah's all, he says, I'll do it. But nevertheless, it's not really coming from you. If it's just the judges alone, it's not really you. You want the judge and you're willing to the judge, but it still doesn't, you're doing it because he says it. It doesn't come into your inner understanding and your feeling. Habon, which is by means of your advisors. Ubamele, Nishara, though, therefore, if there's only judges, even in the best situation, there'll still be a place that maybe I won't do it. Maybe I won't be so enthusiastic about doing it. By means of having advisors as well, Shezeu Eitze Tova Avur Hashomea Makabel, that they give good advice, and this could be anybody, could be your friends, like the Rebbe said, Asela Harav. But once you say, take a friend, you say, you'll be my advisor. The person says, I don't want to be, I'm not an advisor. Says, no, the Rebbe said to do it. If we do it, then you'll have special power. Right? Let's see if it works. And you find out that it works. The person suddenly gives you advice. You say, yeah, maybe that you can talk it over. Then, so why not just have advisors alone? Because if you just have advisors, then it's lacking the authority and the power of the Torah that comes from above below, that the shofet, the judge, says you have to do. In other words, in a revealed godliness which is in this, you don't feel if you just do advice, then you're doing something, it's nice. But if you do it from what the judge says, what the rabbi says, then you feel, oh, this is the godly part of it. Not just that it's good for me. This is what God wants. Even if I don't feel it's good for me, I'll do it because this is what God wants. So you have to have both. I'm doing what God wants. That's the judges. And also I'm doing it what's good for me. Right? Ideal, it's both of them, but you still have to have the input from both. Something from above and something what's called below, something that's personal. Only if you have both. You have judges and you have advisors. That the judges tell you what God wants, and the advisors tell you what you want. Right? It convinces you that what you want is really what God wants. Then this causes in a person a completeness. We just learned yesterday in the Chumash class. Tamim tiyem Hashem Elokecha. If you have both together, then the result is that the Torah and the commandments are impressed on a Jew in an inner way. Penimis mitziotam, that is not just impressed from the outside, but you realize that's who my real identity is, to do what God wants. Nothing happier than that. That it's accepted by a person by means of that's the idea of Moshiach. Moshiach, the ultimate king and the ultimate friend. Mitnaeg al v'chorot Torah. Then, the days of the Mashiach. First of all, you'll have the teachings of the Torah will be clear, and you'll want to do them, and then it'll be more of a place for you doing it from your own pleasure. You won't need to shotrim, policemen anymore, to do what the judges say. You'll just have to have advisors to understand how to do it in the best way, in the happiest way. So that's, again, the idea of Mashiach is to reveal everyone who they really are. And to reveal in everyone their connection to the creator of the universe, who's creating them right now. An inside, deep feeling. So in a way, it'll be a world without religion. All the other religions of the world will be thrown into the, into the past, into the trash can of history. The only thing that will be was just serving God, and the only ones that even have any idea about serving God and only God directly, without any tricks, without any of this, and doing the Torah as it was given on Sinai, that's the Jews. And in the Torah is the 7 Noahide commandments. But the point of the 7 Noahide commandments is that you're doing what your creator wants you to do. It'll be something that comes from the inside of you. It'll be happy, pleasurable. That's why we need Mashiach now. Now let's just do the Hayom Yom. The Jewish people are called Eretz Chefetz, a precious land. Eretz Chefetz, a precious land. That's what the Jewish people are called. Atem Eretz Chefetz. God says, you are called my precious land. This is from the prophecy of Malachi. Atem tiyuli Eretz Chefetz. God says, you will be to me a precious land. Why the Jews are called a precious land? Because the Jewish people, just like land, has all sorts of jewels inside of it. So also inside of the Jewish people are hidden precious jewels, love and fear of God, and fine character traits, caring about other people, giving charity, being honest. That's what you're supposed to be. Bringing these traits to the surface, and that's a little different. They're in there. But bringing them to the surface, this depends totally upon the person that does them. It's clear that throughout the earth, there's well springs of living water as well. The difference is that you have to dig down to find the well. Sometimes you have to dig near to the surface, sometimes deep. Everything, therefore, depends on how much you want to dig for gold, diamonds, precious stones, water. It depends on what your patience and your perseverance. Since that the will is a willpower, this is an aspect of the soul that issues decrees, right? A person likes to eat. Willpower says, I'm not going to eat anymore. This rules over everything else, and it compels them to act according to the orders. So it follows that the essential avoda service is to arouse your will. Really want. Chayfetz also means to desire. Both a person on himself and on others, that you have to be the one that digs. You have to have the will, the chayfetz, to dig inside of yourself and find the living water and the precious stones and elements. It just depends on you, but they're there. And for sure, if you dig, you'll find. Have a good day with Moshiach now. Hope to see you all at 3 o'clock for a Chumash class.